Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Here we're back, Friday afternoon. What a beautiful day it's been. I was out a little bit earlier just to go grab a coffee and just to sort of get out of the house, because I permanently work from home. So this isn't a lockdown thing for me. But every now and then I go to my local brew coffee roasters, and it sounds like they're sponsoring me. I wish they would. But it's just my favorite coffee, and sometimes I just go spend a couple of minutes there. And so what a beautiful day. What a long week it's been for me, particularly. A few things that I had to work on, and things that sort of, I don't know how to put it. But it's been a week that's been dragging out. It hasn't been one of those like energetic kind of weeks. It's been a schlep to get through. But hey, here we are, new week ahead. And I can't wait for Monday. There's quite a few things in the works. So let's see how it goes. I hope you had a fantastic week and that it's been good for you and that everybody's well and that you're safe still and all of that good stuff. Please remember to say hi if you're here. I can see there is a couple of people that are live, but I haven't seen any comments come through yet. So please do say hi, and I will gladly give you a shout out when you do that. So this afternoon is quite an interesting topic. It's something that has been something that I actually looked at last year, and I totally forgot about it, and I don't know why it sort of came to my mind last night. But I just thought let me talk a little bit about titles. I actually first wanted to talk about recognition, particularly in our businesses for staff, and recognition that we get ourselves and recognitions that we give our clients, etc., etc. And then this whole thing about titles came about, and I'm going to share with you exactly where it came from. And now this entire session this afternoon is only going to be about titles. I will have to do recognition in a separate session just because I've got so much to say about titles. And sort of some of them will be thought-provoking and some of them will just be like, hey, let's see what goes. And, maybe just challenge a few thinkings around it. And I hope I won't be stepping on any toes. And if I do, you know what, I'm not going to apologize for that. It's just some of the things that we never think about maybe. And sometimes I think we attach too little value to something, and sometimes we attach too much value to something. So hopefully we're going to sort of balance the scales and have a talk about all of that. Alrighty, so I see some of the comments coming in. Good afternoon, Cobus Klein. Nice to have you with us once more. Very nice to have you. Denise, same to you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Ben Kleinans. And nice to have you with us. Louis Uester, good afternoon. Arun, good afternoon. Malcolm, did you see 651, Malcolm? So we broke the 650 yesterday. So thank you very much. We're on 651 subscribers. On that note, if you're new here, please consider subscribing over on the YouTube channel. If you are watching on YouTube, just click that subscribe button. If you're over on LinkedIn, hop on over to the YouTube channel. You can just search for Francois du Toit or Virtual Coffee with Francois, and you'll be able to find the channel. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to that magical 1,000. Still got 350 or 349 if you want to be precise to go. So please help us out. It really helps us a lot, and I appreciate it if you do. If you don't, as long as you get value from what we do, I'm also still very happy. Carol, good afternoon. Nice to see you here. Thank you very much. Hi, Francis. Nice to have you. You and I need to do a catch-up. It feels like I haven't seen you in 60 years. Adrian Jordan, goeiemiddag. Nice of you hier te hê. Gomotso, good afternoon. It's been a while, Gomotso. So very nice to have you back. Edith, thank you very much. Welcome. Stephen Nell, good afternoon. And over here on Francis is saying hi again over on YouTube as well. So thank you very much. Yes, you would note three things have changed since Tuesday. The one is the glasses, so I can see better. It appears that when you turn 45, you don't realize how fuzzy things are around you until they test your eyes and tell you that you need to get new glasses. So that's what I've done. I've also sort of shaven for a bit, getting tired of the beard. And then the hair has been very curly the last few weeks. And I did it a little bit differently today. I think I'm going to become known as the man in black with 1,000 hairstyles. I think that's going to be my thing, and be that as it may. Let's do that. So cool stuff. Thank you, Kobus. So Kobus says, jy was altyd slim, maar nou lyk jy baie slimmer. Thank you very much. I wish I want to look slimmer, like more thin and not just more clever. But that's good stuff. Good afternoon, Terence. Thank you very much for joining us. And Ben, thank you for subscribing. I deeply appreciate it. On that note, saying thank you to Ben. On Tuesday, Ben is going to be my guest here on the show, and we're going to be showcasing his 2020 system that they've developed, which is quite amazing. I saw the demo last week, and I said to him, please, I would love to share this with my community and with the audience, and obviously then with every one of you. So please dial in on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. We're going to look at the system. It's really an awesome system. In fact, some of the things I spoke about on Tuesday are being addressed by the system. So it's definitely something to know about, something to consider, and something to at least know that it exists. I think that is the starting point. It looks amazing. I haven't played with it yet myself, but it does look like there's a lot of things that a lot of advisors have told me over the years. I would love to do this, and I would love to see this, and I would So join us on Tuesday. You will really be amazed. Then just quickly before I get into the show finally, is just remember the Financial Planning Summit, which runs from the 12th until the 14th. The registrations are going very well. I spoke to Kevin yesterday or the day before. I can't remember exactly. But he says it's going well. And if you do want to join us, you can just go to financialplanning-summit.co.za. 575 Rand a ticket. And it's a 3-day summit. It's online, virtual. And every day has got its own topic. And on Tuesday, I will share with you all these topics. I neglected to bring the printout with me this afternoon, which I intended to do. But anyway, we've got these 3 different days with 3 different topics and then multiple panels and speakers and so forth. Really some new stuff coming. And you will really enjoy it. And we've got some phenomenal people that will be part of that summit. So I will be moderating 2 of the panels. Very happy that Kevin asked me to do a second one. Kevin, thank you for the trust, and I look forward to that. So one will be on technology, the other one will be on valuation of businesses and how do you build a valuable business. So I'm really looking forward to moderating those 2 panels and sharing all of that with you. So I think that is sort of the stuff that I wanted to share with you. I hope you enjoyed the sort of thumbnail. This is where everything started with Iron Man. If you remember, 103 episodes ago. So I thought that would be a good thing to say. Let's talk about titles and recognition. You know what better than Iron Man? Alrighty, so let's get into it. Let me just bring up all the things that we want to talk about. As I said, please subscribe to the channel. If you're watching the recording, please subscribe. About half of our viewers are still not subscribed, so please just hit it. There's nothing that's going to flood you with notifications or you're going to get a lot of messages. Nothing like that. So please, it's free. So please subscribe. It'll help us to grow. And that's all I can ask. So thank you very, very much for considering to do that. You can follow me on Instagram, FrancoDTZA. I share a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff and things that I'm up to. Not a lot, but I do share some stuff. It's more on the personal side, so you can get to know me a little bit better. And also, I'll share some of the things that I use and do, etc., etc. So there's much more to learn there that I don't necessarily share in the show. And then lastly, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, if you're not on the WhatsApp group, you can just visit francodetoy.co.za/WhatsApp and you can join the group. It's a one-way group. In other words, it's only myself that can post, so you will only get notifications. If you want to reply, you have to reply to me privately, so you don't have to worry about being pinged with 1,000 people replying on the group, so that does not happen. So please consider joining the group if you're not already receiving my messages, etc. So please don't sign up to the group if you already receive my messages, because it will mean that you're going to get it twice. So don't do that. Alrighty. So on that note, let me get into the show. So where did all of this start? Let me go back. There was a few things that happened that sort of made me aware about this whole thing about titles. One is I've obviously seen on LinkedIn a few very interesting titles that financial advisors are giving themselves in their sort of summary line or their headline on their profiles to try and stand out and to be different and all that kind of stuff. So I've noticed it, but I haven't really paid that much attention to it. And then one day last year, I decided, because I'm very specific about building my network on LinkedIn. There's there's sort of two camps to this. Some people feel like you build your network on LinkedIn with everybody that's willing to connect with you. And in fact, you'll see behind their names often lion. And it doesn't mean that their star sign is a Leo or anything like that. It stands for LinkedIn Open Networker. In other words, they are open to connect to any and everyone who is interested to connect with them. And, from there I thought I want to see, because I know when I look at a connection request or when I make a connection request, it must be somebody within the financial services industry and somebody that I can add value to. So that is the first level. The second level is, does this look to be somebody that I would ideally want to connect with and do business with probably somewhere in the future or anything like that. And I thought, okay, let me download my LinkedIn connections, because you can. I don't know if you knew that, but you can download your entire network to your laptop. Everybody's got their own, they can set their own permissions about what you can and can't see when you do download that information, like their email address, for instance. But what I wanted to do was to put together a graph to show me, because in my mind I was thinking, sure, at least 95% of my connections should be financial advisors, financial planners, CFPs. So those are the three things that I thought I would see. And then I did that and I created the chart, and it was obviously a pie chart, but if you look at the colors, and they're very, very slim, it looks almost like one of those psychedelic, that if you spin the wheel, you'll go into some form of hypnosis. And I thought to myself, holy macaroni, how many things are people calling themselves when they are in fact just financial advisors? So that was very interesting to me, and to think but does this really help? Does this really make a difference? And that is sort of where all of this started. And I think the main question for me is, does it matter what you call yourself? Is it really so important? And also, actually at the time, there was this advert from Sanlam on the TV where they were starting to push the Wealthsmith, and they actually trademarked Wealthsmiths. And I thought to myself, it's very clever and it's very cute. My question has always been but would consumers really grasp what that is about? And how hard do you need to push it to really make it a brand and really something that would be in the general language that people speak when they talk about financial planning? But anyway, so that is where all of this sort of started from, and this is where all of this originated for me. And it's been more than a year that I haven't really paid attention to this. And I don't know, for some reason last night, this thing came up with me and said, let's talk a little bit about titles. All right, so to do that, let's start off with talking about what is the purpose really of a title. And you'll see that I put in brackets there a job title, because often you find that titles are something that is very important within a bigger business or a corporate setup. It is something that is really used to tell others what it is that you do. That is one of the things of the type of work you do. It shows usually experience, or so-called experience levels, because you'll have a junior or a senior or an executive or something like that before titles, or there will be assistant or consultant or whatever that may be as part of the title to sort of indicate what it is that you do, but then also the level. If you think about a personal assistant and then you get an executive assistant, in their world, there's a big difference between those two. And I think the other thing that titles are very useful for is comparing across businesses. So if you work in financial services, so let's just say that you are a regional manager in Sanlam, and you look at a regional manager at Liberty and at Momentum and Discovery and wherever, it's sort of the same thing maybe, although it's not necessarily the case. But at least it's an indication of where you fit into the hierarchy, because often the purpose of these job titles is really to show where one fits into the hierarchy as well. And then often a lot of people do place a lot of value on these things, and it's a status symbol for them to say, well, this is what I am, especially if it starts with a C, achieve something. So those are the things. And the other thing that I found, I don't know if you've seen this, I often see this when companies start to restructure. And because here's the thing, if you, let's say you retrench somebody in sales, you can't appoint another salesperson. Now you've got to call them something else. And then they come up with these weird and wonderful names, and or you look at it and they talk about, like, I don't know, words that only corporate people would understand. Then I go like, okay, so that's your title, but what do you do? And that's what I see often happen. I don't know if you feel the same. I mean, as I get into some of the things, I'm going to ask you to share with me what are some of the most weird and wonderful titles that you've seen. People call themselves, because there are some interesting ones out there. And usually we also like to bring in words like architect and therapist and, all sorts of wonderful things. But I'm going to ask a very important question at the end. So please stick with me, because I'm going to get to it. And there's a few things that I want to share with you that I think we often forget when it comes to these titles. So those are some of the things that I feel like that is the purpose of a job title. So are they useful? Yes, absolutely. But more from an internal point of view, because it will share with other people within your business where you fit in, what it is that you do. But I feel like the moment you step out of that, you actually lose the power of your title. That's just my opinion for this. So my next question is, does a title differentiate me? So does it make me unique? Does it make me stand out? That is sort of the question. And this is why I want to ask you, like, what are some of the interesting titles that you've seen people, it doesn't have to be in financial services, but that they do X, but they call themselves something else. So like you're a superhero, but you call yourself Batman. That is quite cool. And over time, that brand has been settled, and it's been burned into our memories. And we know exactly that Batman is a superhero. But often, have you seen people call themselves the Batman of financial planning? That kind of thing. Financial architects, financial ecologists, financial, I don't know, like all these weird kind of things. Have you seen anything like that? Please share. It's fun. It's not to make fun of the people. It's just to show like how creative people are becoming in order to try and differentiate themselves. And I've always asked the question, like, does the differentiation sit in the title? Back in 2013, I wrote an article where I asked the question, what is the difference between a broker, an advisor, and a planner? And ultimately, you can call yourself whatever it is that you want. And I know with RDR, one of the things is like, what do we call ourselves? And I know there's sort of two things, and you're only allowed to call yourself a financial planner if you actually have the CFP certification. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to call yourself a financial planner. So that's where it is at this stage. It's not law yet. It's not been enacted as far as I know, but that is where we stand with this. And you need to give a clear indication whether you are basically tied in the old way of saying it. In other words, you can only do a specific company's products, advise on that, or if you're in fact independent, then you can advise on multiple companies' products. And but as far as that is concerned, I think when you come up with these titles, and even sometimes corporates give you these titles, okay, and it makes sense in the business, but it is so vague, like I can't deduct from that what it is that you do. And it's the same with clients. The moment you look at these things like, whoa, what is that? I mean, that sounds awesome. It sounds exotic. It sounds different. But what do you do? And then and I spoke to another friend of mine this morning, and he said, what often happens is that you explain to them what you do in a very clearly articulated way, and then the client would respond in saying, oh, so you're in insurance and investments. And that is what is really in their minds. I don't know if you agree. You can tell me whether you agree or not. But that is ultimately what it boils down to, because that is what the consumer and our clients actually understand, is that, well, we are in, yes, you're in financial planning, but at the end of the day, it boils down to other things as well. And I think this is why such a big portion of the community is actually trying to say, well, but there's also things like financial coaching. There's a different way of going about this. Yes, we will always at the end probably do some form of a product or implement some form of an investment, but the process of getting there is definitely changing, and the focus is moving away from the end thing that needs to be implemented to the journey and really having that deep understanding. But anyway, that's digressing a little bit. I think that title, although it may make you stand out, it's not telling anybody what it is that you do. So it's very vague. Outside the business, it doesn't mean much. Most people will go like, I don't get it, but okay. So I think it confuses more than it does anything else. So it's not doing that much good. And I'm going to get to financial advisor titles in a second. So hang in there with me. We'll get there. So the question then becomes is, well, what is then important? If the title is vague, if the title doesn't mean much outside of your organization, if it's unclear about what it is that you actually do, what is important then? Well, exactly that. What do you do? What is it that you do? What is it that you offer? What is the result and the outcomes that you generate? And then secondly, who do you do it for? So those two things always go hand in hand. So that is the first thing for people to be able to go and say, oh, I need one of those. I need a person like that. That is what I want. That is what you need there. The third thing is how you do it. And that is sort of then linking to the whole client experience thing and the journey and your process of going about this. So what do you actually focus on? How do you make people feel at the end of the day? So those are all the things that are really, really important. That is what clients really care about. They don't care whether you are a super executive, most experienced financial advisor. At the end of the day, it is about what are the results and the outcomes that you can help them achieve. What is it like working with you from the time that they start until they get those results and those outcomes? That is quite important to the clients that we work with. And then I think the fourth thing is the income that it generates. So all of the things, the what, the how, the why, not the why, the what, the how, and the who, and then the income that generates at the end of the day for your business. Because again, having a weird and wonderful title does not generate income for you. There are obviously some clients out there that are impressed by certain titles. There are clients that it's very important to. And quite likely it would be because their title is extremely important to them. And they want to say that, listen, I have the super duper executive financial advisor of all time. So that is important to them. But I think they're in the majority. The majority of clients couldn't care about it. And I'm going to give you some examples as we go through to say, but why do I actually say that? All right. Let me jump to the comments quickly. So let's just first go there. Okay, Ben says he's already nervous. No, man, just it's going to be fun. Norma, hello. Nice to have you with us. Nice to see you. I'm going to cycle with you next week. Watch this space. Kobus, Raj, you never know everything. I did not know I could download my connections. Wow, that's helpful. Does it go? Yes, it's a CSV file and it goes into Excel. You can do it from your settings. So go check it out there. Jaco Roots, goeiemiddag. Johan Marais, goeiemiddag. Nice to see you as well. Hello Batman, hello Amanda. There will be only 2 license categories. Yep, 1 optional category of advisors, but you will still be able to label yourself with RDR. Yes, but also then where does this whole financial planner / CFP thing fits in, Kobus? But that's also, I mean, that's a session that we'll have, and I think we can discuss this on another show. Some believe that if you are a CFP professional, you are a financial advisor planner. My question is, Kat, also, who are some? So who are we talking about? Other financial advisors, other financial planners, clients? Do clients really know who we are? So let's talk a little bit about that. So I want to get into financial advisor titles. And usually you'll see, and let me call it like it is. You talk to independent financial advisors, then they're not so set on I'm an executive or a senior or anything like that. You go more into the agency space, the franchise space. For those guys, it's very, very important to be labeled like, am I a junior, am I a senior, am I an executive? And I understand that because it is, also if you work in such a setup, it is important to always have progress, right? So a career path is very important. And moving from the one to the next is really, really important. And it does like sort of, it motivates you rather, to be able to go and study further and get better at what it is that you do and get your skills and all of that up. You know, when you're an independent financial advisor and you're in your own business, I don't think you care about that. However, if you appoint other advisors in your independent business, then maybe that should be a very important thing to look at in terms of their progress and how they move through the ranks in the business, because people do like progress, because otherwise they feel like they are stagnating. So from that point, it's good, and I understand it. It makes complete business sense. It is important. My next question would be, what are these things based upon? So for you to qualify as a senior financial advisor, an executive financial advisor, doesn't matter where you are, whether it's tied, independent, doesn't matter. What are the criteria that are used or that is used for that? And often, I can tell you from experience that it's probably, definitely, it consists of some of these things. So production is always an important thing. Persistency will also be an important thing. Then comes in qualifications. They also look usually at your compliance sort of standards, and, are you like compliant, or like do you have a lot of things outstanding? That kind of stuff. So that is really taken into account. How long you've been doing this, because I can come in with my CFP, but as a complete newbie, I can't just walk in as an executive, financial advisor into any business. You got to have experience. So that comes into play. So those are some of the things. I obviously don't operate in that space. So if anybody has got some ideas about like what is usually taken into account to sort of say, some business call them gold and platinum, and others just senior and executive, and all these kind of things. But my question at the end of the day remains, is for me as a consumer, what does it say to me? Does it mean anything to me? Does it make a difference to whether I want to do business with you or not? And I'm pretty sure that there will be some consumers out there that definitely, yes, it builds your credibility, and it says, well, you're not a newbie, like if my stuff is more complex, I would probably look for somebody who's more experienced and better qualified, My problem is usually that I don't know if clients in terms of financial services really know the difference between the different sort of things that we've got. If you look at a CFP, advanced CFP, to us it means a lot, and look, it should, because you spend a hell of a lot of time, money, effort, you made sacrifices to attain those qualifications and those certifications, and you've got to do CPD every single year to keep it. So you've got to wear it proudly. You can't just go out and say, no, you know what, yeah, I've got these things, but they do mean a lot. My question is just to clients, do they mean the same thing to clients than it means to people within our industry who talks that language, understands what you went through to get there? So that is sort of my question, and I'm quite sort of interested to get your feedback and your views on that as well, because this is something that we can take much further and write articles on and do more videos on, etc. So please share your views and your opinions. I appreciate it. And maybe your experience from that. And I would be actually keen to ask clients, like, what do they think, about these things? Do you even know that your advisor is a CFP? And if they do they know what it means? Because I know we still got a long way to go about this. The other day, somebody was asking on XY, like, should I actually attain my CFP? I get calls every single January of advisors saying, should I renew my CFP? The answer is yes. Why even think about it? Because if you want to be in this business and you want to be professional, for me, that's the bare minimum requirement, not the NQF5 that you need and the 2 years experience and the this and the that. There's a new world that opens for you when you've got your CFP. But that is the start. It's not the goal. It is the start. You still got to learn so much on top of that, from a engagement point of view, from a coaching point of view, from an advice-led point of view. All of that stuff is extremely important. But the baseline should definitely be CFP, because the technical knowledge is non-negotiable. I can't think that you can do anything really properly without that. So my question is, if we look at all of these criteria that are usually used to determine what level you'll be or what your title will be, does it speak to things like the customer experience? In other words, how I make somebody feel when they work with me. Does it make a difference in terms of the quality of my advice? Does it mean that I produce better outcomes and better results than somebody that doesn't have the same title than me? Does it guarantee that? Does it actually take those things into account? That's my question. I don't have answers to that, but that is sort of the things that goes through my mind when I think about those. So then my question is, But how do clients think about this? So if I put myself in, and unfortunately I obviously know the industry and I know what everything means, so it's a bit harder to really put me and I think the best way, and two people said this to me this morning when I was talking to them around this whole topic, etc. They were saying to me like, but think about a doctor. So let's just say I've got some form of a problem and I come to you and I say, you know what, Ish, I've got this problem. I don't know who to go to. I don't know who's going to help me, you know. And then how will you refer that doctor? Well, very simply, you will say, you know what, you've got a bad knee. This is the doctor. Okay, you go to him. He does absolute magic and he is an awesome person. All he does is knees, and that is what his speciality is. You can go to him with the utmost certainty. An amazing guy or lady. That's how we refer doctors. We don't go like, oh, he's got an MBCHB from this, and he's got this super postgrad and this master's and this whatever, you know. No, we don't do that. We just say he's an awesome doctor and he's very good at what he does, and his speciality is knees, or his speciality is backs or hearts or whatever it may be. So that's how we refer doctors. And I think it's exactly the same when it comes to financial planners, is that if somebody says, yeah, I've got so much money problems, I don't know what to do, you know, I'm so deep in debt, I don't know, because they're going to talk to their friends. How are their friends going to refer them to you? What are they going to say? So if they're unclear about what it is that you do exactly, you know, it's going to be hard for them. And that's why I feel like that is probably where we sometimes miss the boat with coming up with weird and wonderful titles. Instead of just saying what it is that you do. Saying, listen, I'm in the insurance and investment game. Or saying, I am a financial advisor. You know, they will never know what is the difference between a financial planner and a financial advisor or a broker in many of their minds. There is no difference to them. They are all in the insurance and investment game. And yes, we can focus on all these different weird and wonderful things, lifestyle financial planning and all of that. That's just our process. But at the end of the day, what the client understands is that these people are in finance and they are insurance and investments, I think. So that is sort of, you know, like when you want to write what it is that you do, think about that, because that is what clients understand. We've got a long way to go to educate them and making them aware there is something like a CFP and what that actually means and what distinguishes a CFP from someone else. I know that Lalani the other day said on the show also that they're busy looking at the standards for CFP because they realize that they cannot focus only on the technical. They also need to focus on the human stuff, the behavior stuff. So that's going to come into that curriculum. It's going to bolster it and it's going to make it even more valuable than what it is at the moment. I'm really excited to sort of get to that. Yeah, I want to make a statement and say that I don't think clients really care about how qualified we are. As I said before, I wear my qualifications proudly. I'm proud of what I've got. It gives me confidence. It gives me the ability to do what I do. You know, but if I tell a client I've got all these things, it doesn't mean anything to them because they've got no frame of reference for that. What's more important to them, and this is something that Razan and I spoke about, and it's something that she reminds me of constantly, is to say that, you know what, we remember 80% of what we see. We remember 20% of what we read. And we remember 10% of what we hear. So let me say that again. 80% of what we see. We remember and retain 20% of what we read. And we retain 10% of what we hear. So, but here's the kicker. We remember 100% of what we feel. You know exactly what you felt in a specific moment when you worked with somebody or they did something for you or they did something to you. You will remember that feeling 100% forever. So that is really what it's about. How do we make our clients feel? Calling us something like the Batman of financial planning is not really going to help, you know, if you don't make them feel like you're the Batman of financial planning. I think it's much better if clients start saying like, whoa, this guy or this lady is the Batman or the Catwoman or the Superwoman or, you know, something like that of financial planning. So I think, you know, from a title point of view, and here's my other thing. So let me gooi this in there as well. when you look at your titles, what is so important, if you're going to call yourself the alchemist of financial planning, or the financial alchemist, or the financial architect, or financial, all of this stuff, is that what somebody's going to type into Google when they're looking for someone like you? And I've mentioned this in other episodes as well, when you do your profiles and you put everything together, you write your website, all of that. You need to think about, when clients go on places like Google and Bing and so forth, what do they type in there when they're looking for someone who does what you do? That is the question. And that is what you should call yourself if you want to be found. Because it's easy, if people know Francois du Toit by name, they will go type in, I'm looking for Francois du Toit, they will find me and they will contact me, and that's cool. But if somebody's looking, for example, for CPD, and somebody that can help them with attaining their CPD, or they're looking for content for CPD purposes, or whatever that may be, they're not going to type in Francois du Toit. They're going to look for free online CPD content, most probably, right? So am I then one of the people that will show up there for them to find me? And that is, I think, how we should go about doing this and thinking about titles. So what are your thoughts? What do you think? Let's see what some of the comments say. So Ben says, for me, the longer you do this, the less important the title. I agree, even from the start. But initially, because I think there is some form of confidence that is instilled if you move from being a financial advisor to being a senior, to being an executive, for instance. I mean, there must be something in terms of confidence that brings. The question is just, does it mean something to the client? And I think the more we realize that the clients don't care about those things, the less it then becomes something that's important. Let me see what Kobe says. Clients mostly do not know the differences between labels. REL will not improve the situation either. I agree with you. Their own survey showed used problems with the original proposal under advisor categories. Yes. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, what do you do? And that's the thing. If you can say in one or two words what it is that you do, and clients already understand it in today's context, I think then you'll win. And that is all that they really care about. I will rewrite an article about what to look for in an advisor. Clients need to look at experience, specialization, qualifications. You don't want to be a qualified brain surgeon's first operation. Yes, but shame. The brain surgeon also needs to start somewhere, right? But yeah, no, very true. And that is important, from a consumer. But that's why I say we've got such a long way to go in terms of consumer education and making them aware of what the differences are. And in that way, you can differentiate the value and everything that you bring. But I think still, ultimately, it comes down to the way you do your business. It comes down to what you focus on. It comes down to your core value proposition. That is the only thing that will differentiate you from anybody else. Even if you are called exactly the same as everyone else, people will still know that this person is just, they are super, they're really good at what they do, they deeply care about me, and every time I walk out of there, I just feel lighter because they took a lot of things off my shoulders, they explain things to me, they educate me, they sort of share important things with me, they're always upfront with me. If they make a mistake, they will acknowledge it, and they will fix it, and not try and hide it. So those are the kind of things. So it comes down to that stuff for any person that we've got, whether it's relationships, business, doesn't really matter. So so that is awesome. Thank you very much. That's me for this Friday afternoon. Thank you very, very much for each and every one of you that has joined me live this afternoon. I deeply appreciate it. If you're watching the recording and you got this far, thank you very much. I deeply appreciate it. I wish you all a fantastic weekend. And I will see you back on Tuesday with Ben Kleinhans and 2020. And I really look forward to sharing that with you. The week thereafter, on the Tuesday, I'll have Hendrik Crawford. We're going to talk about financial coaching. And then somewhere, I'm going to do a showcase of another system that I do want to share with you and show you. I've had them on the show before, but we never showed you the systems. I also want to do that. And just make you aware of what's available out there. Thank you very much. I deeply appreciate it. I wish you a wonderful weekend. Until Tuesday, have a good one. Stay safe. Bye-bye.